RD here, and I'm back today with a cool little review of the GPTOYS Middax. It doesn't say it there on the box, but that says it on the top of the quadcopter there. The Aquadrone, I hope you can see that here if I pull this over here. It's a little waterproof drone, also it calls it the F51. The box itself, it came in here, it's just a little black box. It doesn't really have a whole lot of information on the top. But when you open it up, then you have quite a bit of information on the inside of it, and then on the back side here. That was upside down there. That's right side up. And has some information here on the inside, flight times, charge time, stuff like that. So some of the basic information that you'd like to see is included. It's just oddly inside of the box. Let's look at the drone here. I don't have the prop guards on. It does come with prop guards, and we'll get to that when we get to some of the accessories. But it has some little landing gear you can stick onto the drone. It kind of reminds me of a CX-20. I owned a Cheerson CX-20. It kind of has a bit of that look and the Phantom kind of hybrid look between those two. Of course, obviously, much smaller. Here, I can stand in the palm of my hand, so it's a little bitty, kind of a mini drone. I did put those on, but they're not the best for landing. But they look cool. But you could take those off and land with just using the landing, the little legs on the end, and it will not tip over. And it's a better way to land the quadcopter. You've got orange props in the front and black in the back here. The LEDs are also like my CX-20. You got red in the front and green LEDs in the rear. So, and they're actually pretty decent LEDs. They're brighter than a lot of the LEDs that you would see on a quadcopter of this size, but they're still not going to be super easy to see during the day, better than some. The battery bay here is on the front, and that's a little bit different too. Typically you'll see a battery bay on the rear of the quadcopter, but it's actually on the front, and right above the little HD camera. I'm going to try to put my quotes up here, HD camera, because that's one of the big knocks we'll get to later is the camera, particularly its performance with water. The battery fits in the bay here, and it's a 1S 400 milliamp LiPo, so a decent sized battery here. I don't know if you can see the information on there. Hopefully it's focusing in. And it's a bit of a tight fit. It'll fit in there and get it plugged in, but you got to get that plug out. I notice that this plug kind of tends to want to get caught, and you got to reach into your fingers or a screwdriver, or even the battery cable to kind of try to pull it out, and then get it plugged in first, and then slide it into the bay. And it's not too bad once you get used to it. Just a bit of a tight fit, but that's actually a pretty decent sized battery for such a small quadcopter, because this is the same size battery as the JJR CH31 waterproof drone I recently reviewed, which is probably twice this size. And so this gets a little bit better flight time than that one because of the smaller weight, though it depends on if you're using a camera too, along with the LEDs and some of the other stuff. So anyway, the door to the battery bay does come off too, which is kind of I don't know, I don't particularly like that, because you could lose this, and then of course your battery could slide out, though it is a bit of a tight fit, but still you want the battery door to be on. Thankfully the door does lock, so you put it on here, you get it on the hinges, and turn it up, lock it, kind of get it popped in there, so it will stay. I've not ever had it come open. It locks just fine. It's just, if you're taking it off, you could misplace it or lose it, so that's kind of a downer there a little bit, but not a huge deal. The quadcopter with battery inserted into it weighs 52 grams, so obviously well under, nearly about 200 grams under the FAA requirements for registration in the United States, so no worries there. It's got a little on and off switch, so you can plug it in and get it all ready and turn it on, which I always liked on and off switch. You don't have to sit and fiddle with plugging it in, and then it's all powered up and get it bound and take off. So and you back to the batteries. It comes with 2 batteries, which I think is a big bonus, especially for $30. So you You get 2 batteries, and you don't have to wait to charge both because you've got a dual charger that comes with it. So you plug a battery into each side and then plug it into your USB outlet or on your computer, and you'll charge both of them up and then get down and out at the same time, and you've got 2 batteries ready to go. So you can go for 2 flights. So I love that. So when I was testing this, if I had a problem, which I did have problems, not particularly with the flying of this quadcopter, but we'll get to that in a moment. I had another battery ready to go, so I didn't have to sit around and wait, because the charge times advertised as 45 minutes in the manual. Excuse me, on the box it says 45 minutes. Inside the manual it says an hour. It was kind of hard to time it. I was kind of busy at the time, but I'd say it was at least an hour off my computer I had it plugged into. But that may only be 1 amp, so it could be possible you could get 45 minutes if you had on a 2 amp USB outlet, like plugged into your wall, like a lot of the iPhones and Android phones use. So that could definitely speed up the charge time. The quad itself, like I said, the HD camera on this, it doesn't give you really any information at all on this HD camera. I'm saying HD because I looked in the video file that I recorded just testing it in the house, and it was 720, so 720p, but it is not very good video quality. Now, you wouldn't expect it to be particularly good, but it does have a lot of noise, some artifacts, and it seems like when this does get wet, then the whole camera, SD card, and all that, it just goes wacky. So in terms of the waterproof aspect, it's not actually waterproof. I mean, it's got, the water can get in the vents, it can get in the battery bay, it can get into the motors, but it tells you that in the instructions. The instruction manual is actually pretty darn good. The English is good. It's got good diagrams and pictures in it. It's even got a diagram here, labeled a picture of the circuit board and wiring in case you have to do any kind of maintenance or repair to it. So I think that's really, really nice that they included that. The instructions are definitely well above average. Some of the better instructions I've seen. And in the fine print here in the beginning, there's no way you're going to be able to read this, but it says it's IPX5 waterproof. It says, it can be submerged in the water, but don't treat it like a submarine. So don't take it underwater, let it sit underwater. But it says in here that it's made to be flown through, in wet conditions, puddles, creeks, wet grass, snow, and even rain. So, I wanted to try it out in some water, and in various tests that I've done, I know it says over here in the instructions not to put it in salt water, which I already knew because of my JGR CH31, even though it did not mention that. I already was aware of the point that salt water is not good with electronics. I mean, water in general usually isn't, but salt water is worse. It's very corrosive, and that's exactly what it says. It says it's highly corrosive and you use caution. Well, the salt water was definitely wreaking havocs with this quadcopter, with its ability to film stuff and keep it recorded and not destroy SD cards. But I also had problems with just some fresh water in a bucket. So it seems like if you're going to use this thing and you want to use it in the water, that you're going to be submerging it in water, then I highly recommend that you do not insert the SD card. The MicroSD card goes here right up. Hopefully you can see it here if they get the right light angle of the light, but it goes right up above my fingernail there behind the leg. And if you have the landing gear on, it is a little hard to get the card in and out, but if you take these off, you'll have no problem at all. So it snaps in there, and then you can start recording from the transmitter. But if you are flying this into the water and you get it very wet, I'm just having all kinds of problems getting the video to either get the videos to save, or to avoid just ruining the memory card itself. I've ruined 2 microSD cards, the one that came with it, and another one that I had, which was a good card. It just it gets damp and it quits working. Now I think it could be from the salt water, but like I said, I did do it in fresh water. I didn't ruin the card, but the video ended up corrupting at the end, and it does play back, but then it went gray at the end. So it just, I would not recommend filming with this if you're going to submerge it in water. Now I think if you're going to take it out into the rain and you're going to fly it around in rain or something, I don't think that's going to be a problem, because you're not going to get enough water into the SD card slot to cause any problems there. But I just would not recommend it if you're going to submerge it. I would just do that without filming, because I've not had any luck getting any footage with it once it gets into the water at all. So just not recommended at all for that. Let's see here. If we get back to actually the flight characteristics of this thing, it is a really, really good flyer. It's very, very stable. You get it trimmed up well. It'll just hover there. It's quick. The yaw increases with the rates, and it's just, I love flying the thing. It's a great little flyer, but it is just not very good with the camera, particularly, like I said, if you go underwater. But when you're flying around, the footage is like I said, just a lot of artifacts, and I just don't know exactly. It was that way as soon as I took it out of the box, but it got worse whenever I had gotten it wet. So I had no doubt that the water probably affected some of the footage too, maybe kind of shortened on the board or something. But that was certainly something that they should have waterproofed this camera better, because it's just not good for going in the water at all. Let's see some of the features it comes with here. It comes with a set of 4 prop guards, which I did not use these. Really, if you're gonna, the best thing these prop guards are for is to help stop the props from hitting the ground, because they just are not the best little prop guards on there. They're so far out to really protect those propellers from hitting something. So I don't like to use prop guards. They're just more like tree grabbers to me, because I did kind of fly it up into some trees earlier, and it did make it to the ground, and I have no doubt if I had these prop guards on, it would have gotten caught up in the trees, and I would have lost it. It comes with an extra, it comes with a Phillips screwdriver. It comes with 4 extra props. It comes with a little prop removal tool to let you pull the props off, and it comes with a MicroSD card reader, a nice little one too. So I like that. There's only 3 extra props in this bag, because whenever I first turned the thing on, the A propellers on the front here, the orange A and the black A, just flew off the quadcopter up to the ceiling, and I lost one of them. I don't know why. It had never been flown, and 2 of them were just loose. They just pull on and off, and it just shot up into the air. So I replaced it with 2 spares, and it's tight, and I've flown it. Like I said, I hit the tree and fell to the ground, probably 30 feet up, and they have not fallen off. So it may just be a fluke with mine, but it's just something I feel you should be aware of, that for some reason the props just flew off on this. 2 of them did, and at least I was indoors, so it wasn't a huge deal. But it also comes with this really cool GPTOYS with their website on there, pull string bag, and you can just throw all your stuff into your spare battery, your transmitter, the quad, your spare parts, even an instruction manual if you want to, and just carry it around in here. So that is really, really handy. That's just a cool little feature. Very nice thing for them to think of to include with such a low price quadcopter. Let's see here. Oh, it does 3D flips really well too. Hopefully in the video we'll see here. It's very tight 3D flips. Just really, really, really good at that. But when it got water in it, then it was a little bit sloppy with the 3D flips. So like I said, even though the water affected the video, I feel like it also just affected some of the flight ability of the quadcopter, because I actually was getting it into water, not just having, like I flew it in the rain last night, and it had 0 problems and a light drizzle. So just a little rain or something, instructions kind of alludes to that, but then it says, well, you can take it into the water and submerge it. And I think they're kind of trying to hint at the fact that it can do it, but it's better just to do it, to get it, in rain and wet conditions, but not to really get it underwater. And I think they just kind of I think they were kind of contradicting themselves there, exactly how you should fly this thing in wet conditions, because they probably will run into the same problems that I did. But you know, to me, a waterproof thing is sort of a gimmick anyway. So if you just buy this thing just to fly it around, you don't worry about water, and you know you can fly it in the rain, and it's not going to hurt it, and you can get some footage filmed too, then this is certainly an excellent quadcopter for flying around for the price. So there's really no issues there. So I mean, I would really say that I would not recommend it if you are buying it solely to use and submerge into water or fly into your pool. Then I would not recommend it, especially if you want to film. It can definitely survive. I mean, I had to go to the bottom of my pool and pulled it out, and it was still bound and flew, but it was sloppy with the slips after that, and it could have been because of the water in it. And it tells you in the water maintenance section, you know, to shake the water out, dry it out. So I would, you know, after it got really wet, I would bring it down, catch it, you know, and then sling the water out of it, and then it would fly better. Or take some compressed canned air, and when you get done, and blow it out if you're going to get it really wet. And then of course that's going to just make the thing last a lot longer. Let's go over the transmitter. Kind of a cool game console type transmitter, I guess you could say. It's got your pitch and roll trim buttons here on the right. In the center, and this is the first little twin one I've had, but it's not that uncommon, but it's the button to turn on and off the LEDs. So you turn that off, you're going to extend your flight time, because the flight time that I was getting with this was 7.5 minutes with about a 40-second LVC or LVA, low voltage alarm. So you're getting about 7.5 minutes, about 6 minutes and 50 seconds before it starts to blink. So it's a long, nice long low voltage alarm, so you know to bring it down. It gives you a chance to see those LEDs. So you want to make sure you got them on at that point, or you're not going to have any warning at all, since there's not any kind of audible alarm, which, you know, these little quads don't have that. On the left side, you've got headless mode on the top and your one key return on the bottom if you use those features. The headless mode will make the quad start LEDs on the bottom here start to blink. It tells you that you're in headless mode. The left button is your photo, and the right button is your video. And the light on the bottom here will come on and stay solid red, though I've had it flash, but like I said, that's partially because the way the thing acts in the water, I just don't know what to say. But usually I think it just stays solid red when you're doing video, and then when you press the video button again, the light goes off, and then you know it's done recording. And when you hit the photo button, it just comes on for a moment, and the red light goes back out, and it's taking a picture. And it actually will light up these little red lights on the controller. The top one lights up whenever it's in headless mode, and I think it flashes. The middle one does whenever it's taking video, and the bottom one's supposed to have one key return, but I've never got that to come on yet. But I'm not a big fan of one key return these little toy quads, so it's not something that I've extensively tested yet. But I just don't know how useful these are, because when you're flying this thing, you're looking at the quadcopter, you're not going to be looking down a whole lot at these lights. So it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know how useful they are. But when you turn it on, it's got a cool red X that lights up here. So yeah, that's pretty neat. The top here is your flip button for your 3D flips, and then the direction you want to flip. Like I said, there's really good flips. And this is your rates mode in the right bumper. It's got 3 rate modes: beginner, intermediate, and expert. And the yaw does increase with each rate. So I like expert mode or expert rate. Intermediate's fine too. Beginner's even okay. It's not as slow as some. The yaw is pretty slow, but not terrible. Let's see here, just going to look at my notes, see if I missed anything. The transmitter takes 4 AAA batteries, so a little bit more than some, but it seems to have pretty good range, and that might be why powering off 4 AAAs compared to some take 3. To do a calibration of the gyros, you're going to pull the sticks down and out, and the LEDs will flash, and then it says once it stops flashing for 2 seconds, then it's calibrated. So a little better instructions on that. Some just don't tell you how long you need to wait after the flashing. And the camera, even though I've been knocking the camera and the quality of the camera, it does have sound, and that was I was shocked by that. So there's a microphone somewhere in here, and it's kind of neat. You're hearing your motors flying around, and yeah, I suppose you could hear yourself, but it'd be pretty hard to pick up your voice or the voice sounds over the sound of the props and the motors. And the motors and props are a little noisy too. It's a little bit of a noisy little quad. So that's pretty much all you hear is just the hum of the motors and the props. But that was kind of surprising. So in the flight video, I don't know if I'll be able to get the sound in from that or not during the flight video of the quad. But I wasn't able to get a whole lot of onboard footage just because of all the issues I was having with the water in the SD card. In the camera, of course, we all see it aims down, and you've probably seen many different reviews where reviewers that have complained about that on a lot of these toy quads. And I know you want to see down if you're up high, but you know, if you're flying and you've got your pitch and you're going quick, you're just really going straight down. So it would have been nice if this camera would have been adjustable to kind of aim it up, so you would compensate for the pitch, so you can see towards the horizon more. So, kind of just looking stuff over here. I think that may be I think that's probably it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all the stuff. Okay, well, we will take you to the flight footage now and see how that turns out. Aquadrone. I'm going to fly it today without the prop guards. I'm not a big fan of prop guards and get a little longer flight time, but I will leave the landing gear on. But you could definitely remove this, because what I found that this kind of looks like the CX-20 landing gear of the big brushless quadcopter I own. It is not easy to land this with this landing gear, but it does kind of look cool. But in future flights of this, I probably will take these off. They're easy to just remove and just use these little arm extensions, and it won't tip over, because it wants to tend to tip over. But as you can see, I got my pool in front of us here, and I'm going to try to fly this down into the pool at least very quickly. The instructions recommend not to fly this into salt water, which I mentioned in my last video of my earlier video of the JJRC H51 waterproof drone. Salt water is highly corrosive, but this is not like seawater salt, but I wouldn't recommend flying into your saltwater pool a lot. But we're going to go ahead today and test it out and see how it does, because it's clear and should make for a good test of the little HD camera here in the front, which says it can film underwater. So we'll see what kind of results we get here, and put it, and it'll be obviously here in the video. So let's go ahead and turn it. Actually, before we turn it on, let's go over the transmitter real quick. A little bit of a different transmitter. Kind of looks like maybe like a game console controller, but you got your trim buttons here for your pitch and roll, and in the middle here is the button to turn the LEDs on and off. So that's a great battery saver, especially in a day where the LEDs are going to be less noticeable. So the LEDs are fairly bright, though this is the first time we tested it outside. On the left side here, you've got your photo button on the left, your video button on the right, headless mode top, and your one key return on the bottom. And these indicator lights will light up. You will see the headless mode will flash when you're in that, and in the middle here the photo video. The one key return I have yet to test, and I don't know if I will here in this video, but I'm not a big fan of that feature on these toy quads. But it's supposed to light up here and let you know, but when you're flying this, you're not really going to be looking at those lights too much, so I'm not exactly sure how useful those lights are going to be when you're flying. Your rate modes is here in the top right bumper. It's got 3 rates, beginner, intermediate, and expert. And your left is, you click that, and then that's for your 3D flips, the direction you want to flip. So let's go ahead and turn it on. Now this is, it claims it is waterproof, but like the JJRC H31, it is not waterproof. It's, I guess you could say, the flight control and receiver is water resistant. Water can still get in these vents, and it can get in, the battery bay up here, which is actually in the front of the quad. but it's all designed to be to withstand water. It just says in instructions not to, treat it like a submarine, so you don't want to drive it under, fly it underwater a lot. So let's go ahead and turn it on. And turn on the transmitter, and we'll bind it. Oh. All right, it binds really quick, so I went ahead and took off on me there. And the orange props are in the front. It's a little easy to get confused there because the battery bay and the front of the quad are both on the front. Lots of times, I'm so used to on most quads the battery bay is in the back, so it's easy to kind of get it mixed up. So just remember the orange props are in the front, so you don't put it backwards. So let's go ahead and take off, and we'll take off in beginner rate. And I found this to be a very stable flyer, and speedy too. Now I'm just in beginner rate, so it's not going to be super fast there, but let's go ahead and take it up to, I accidentally hit the flip button. Let's go ahead and do a flip. There we go, and you see the flips are just, it just flips great. Let's do a flip forward. All right, it is really cool at that. I mean, no problems at all. It covers well. Let's go ahead and take it up to intermediate rate. You can see I can see the LEDs there even in the day, so that they are fairly bright. See the green there? Hopefully it shows up. I'm gonna go ahead and turn them off though. See if that. Okay, there. I believe they're off now. Save a little battery power, and we won't really need those right now. Let's go ahead and take it up to expert rate. Show off a little of the speed of it. Bring it back. All right, let's test it out in the pool. I'm just gonna take it down here in case I have to reach it here. See, and it kind of floats. All right, I'm gonna try to do a little landing here to see how that, and it landed. All right, very good. So you can land it if you're on a level surface with those landing gear, but they are not very good typically. All right, let's go ahead and start recording some video now, and then we'll take it and test the video in the water. There is a little indicator light on the bottom of the camera, which of course is hard to see in the day, which shows you this recording video. It will flash when you're recording continuously, and when you're taking a photo, it'll just flash once. So let's go ahead and take it down. So it has a tendency to, it floats. So I mean, it'd be kind of hard to, it will sink down, and now it's going to go to the bottom. Okay. So let's stop the video here for just a moment, and I'll get a net and get it out, and we'll show that it still flies. Alright, I pulled it out from the bottom of the pool there. It doesn't want to sink real quick, so that's why I kind of let it go, and then it sunk to the bottom. So if you're just going down to the water and back up, it does tend to want to float for just a moment, which is a good feature. You don't want it just to sink right to the bottom, especially if you were in over some deep water. But I pulled it out, and it is perfectly fine. It is ready to go. I'm not sure yet if the video I was recording saved or not, because it went to the bottom and I turned the controller off, so we'll see. Hopefully it is, but you would obviously know by now whether that video worked or not. But I'm going to go ahead and start recording it again just in case we lost that initial video. So let's go ahead and press the video button and take back off. Now, I'm impressed with that, because that, it did not cause any problems at all. And I just shook the water out of it, but even when I pulled it out of the pool and set it down, it was binded still. It was still bound, and it was ready to fly. So I did not need to even turn it off. I just went ahead and turned it off just to reset it all in case I had any trouble getting the camera to record again. Now I'll be curious too to see just how watertight that camera is and lens. It says that it is, but anytime you get water and a lens, that's just going to pretty much ruin the entire camera. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and just do a little bit more testing here. Let's just kind of tap it against the water a few more times. And you can see no problem at all. That's cool. That is a cool little feature. I did fly it last night also in the rain. Obviously couldn't film it because it was dark, but you could hear the raindrops hitting it, and no effect at all, obviously. So, you know, the fact you can fly this in the rain makes it a really cool feature. Well, let's go ahead and fly it here a little more. Oh, we still got some battery, because I suspect going down to the bottom of the water like that might shorten the flight time a little bit. We'll see. It is really agile. Let's look at the yaw. And there's the yaw. The yaw is nice and quick, but not out of control and expert. We'll go back down to beginner rate and do the yaw there. It is slow. That's intermediate. Let me bring it a little closer. That's intermediate. And this is expert. So it's pretty quick, but it's not crazy, so it makes it just what you'd want on expert mode. So now the camera does aim downwards, so it doesn't make it very good for keeping it at the horizon whenever you are you know, filming, because you can't it's not adjustable. So that's probably not the best camera design, but you'll see that here. We should be seeing that here in the video. So, all right, and I got the LEDs are back on since I turned it off and on. So, which of course, without the LEDs, you're not going to know when your battery's low. So, thinking about it a little bit more now, even though you're going to conserve battery power, you're not going to know whenever you've hit the LVC, because there's no audible alarm on it. The range seems good with this, what I've seen so far. And I think we've ran out of battery. So the flight time that I've been seeing on this is, you know, about 7.5 minutes, but that was not submerged in water, so I don't know exactly. I didn't time that flight. Maybe that was over 7 minutes. I'll have to look when I go in to edit the video. But it's a cool little flyer. I'm glad I got the orange. I like orange. There's orange and black. Just a neat little quadcopter for the price, and very sporty and fast and easy to fly and stable. Really can't find too many things to complain about in terms of its flight characteristics. So, all right, well, that should wrap it up for the flight test of the Middax F51, available at GearBest, I think for around $30. That's who sent this to me. So, all right, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.